Dave Scott, Hub Media. Today I'm joined by, I guess you're the former MPP of Haldeman Norfolk now, right? Since the election's underway?
Yeah, we can't be called MPP. It's now Bobbi and Brady, independent candidate for Haldeman Norfolk.
All right. Well, that's what I will call you today. Look, there's been so much in the news the last 2 weeks. I got to tell you, I was overwhelmed. To be honest with you, I was looking at your website. I was looking at some things I want to talk to you about. And then I just said, screw it. I want to talk to Bobbi Ann about Bobbi Ann today because I got to know you 2 years ago. I've known you 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you were a conservative. You still are. I get that. And that's who you are. But I got to tell you, to be honest with you, doing these podcasts with you in the last 2 years, I've seen a change in you. And I really enjoy seeing that because you began, when you started out with this whole process of becoming an independent, it had to be such a burden and a change for you. But you accepted the role and excelled at it. And you're a representative of the people. I don't look at you as, I never looked at you as a party now. I always look at you as representing who the people of Haldeman Norfolk are, which I think is critical. And there's no party step in between, which I want to give you a ton of credit for, first of all. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass because I don't do that, and you know that. When we usually, folks, when we get into it, it's good. It's a good knockdown, drag them out. But that's what I liked about you was that. And my question today is, my first question right off the bat is, how has Bobbi Ann changed as a person in these last 2 years? Man, I've seen growth, and I want you to speak to that because I think that's important for the folks of Haldeman Norfolk to recognize.
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's so much I can go on here. And yes, I have grown as a person. I've grown as a representative. And, I'm going to start with somebody pointed it out on social media last week. They said, "Oh, remember Bobbi Ann Brady was a conservative." No, I still have fiscal conservative values. Where I have seen differences in myself is, there's no monopoly on a good idea. So I'm still a fiscal conservative. I still want my money spent. I got to deal with the cat here. He wants to be on the show today.
Yes, he's back. He's back. We haven't had him on a few shows.
James. Yeah. He's getting old, folks. I'm sorry. He doesn't really always mind his manners. So sure, I'm still a fiscal conservative, but I'm going to tell you, and this person tried pointing out that had Bobbi Ann been appointed by Doug Ford in 2022, it'd be a different story. No, that is not true. I never wanted to be appointed. An appointment, when you want to throw your hat in the ring for something, you should not expect an appointment. It's never a good thing. Sure, maybe if you've held the riding like Toby Barrett did for so many years and you have the commitment of the riding association, but never would I have wanted to have been appointed. And I told party folks that. I said, look, I don't want an appointment. I want to run in a nomination race. And the proof is in the fact that when they wouldn't allow a nomination race, I put my name on the ballot, and I did that for democracy. And I have grown, and I'll tell you why I have grown over the past few years and how I've seen the light is because all of a sudden, after 23 years of, here's the messaging, here's what you tell people, all of a sudden that messaging is pulled from, under your nose. You are no longer conveying that. You are no longer articulating that to people. Now you become a critical thinker, right? So now it's not like, oh, here's the messaging, just tell them this, and you kind of drink the Kool-Aid. No. Now everything that you tell people is based on your experience, my 25 years experience, common sense and practicality. And I think it's the biggest blessing that Doug Ford gave this riding in 2022. I say that all the time. I come from an area where we believe in blessings in disguise. And what Doug Ford did by appointing his candidate in 2022 afforded us the opportunity to unshackle and, go out there and speak in a very honest and genuine way, not repeat the messaging, and not drink the Kool-Aid. And that's where I've really grown. And in the Ontario legislature, I always say this. I'm always like, there should be no monopoly on a good idea. And yet, when you're in a super majority government position, like we are in Ontario, or we were, that's what I see, a monopoly on a good idea. There are so many good ideas that come from my colleagues on all sides of the House, Green Party, Liberals, NDP. I can't agree with everything they do all the time, Well, once in a while, there is a private member's bill that we should adopt. John Vantoff, for example, from the NDP, and Mike Schreiner from the Green Party. The three of us, we are the three in the House who fight the hardest to save Ontario's most productive farmland. But nobody listens to us because we're not on the government side.
I think too, like I agree with you on that, but I don't think no one's listening to you. I think a lot of
Oh,
people are listening to you. I think
that's right.
that's the other part of this coin is that people are hearing what you guys are saying because it's what I want to know is the resistance. Why are you fighting this, right? And nothing's cut as clean as a loaf of bread with the PCs right now. You kind of wonder what the heck are they doing? What's the ulterior motive? So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of wonder that, and I wonder why these things happen. I want to bring up another point that I thought too. I saw that a lot of growth in you is you were always empathetic, but I think you took it to a whole new level. I've seen you. We've did shows and talked before, and you're almost in tears trying to help
Mm-hmm.
people. And I've seen you pissed right off too. But what is that? Is that just step forward? I mean, you're a mom. I get all that, but
Yeah,
you see on the ground level, don't you, every day what's going on in Halton, Norfolk, and people that are suffering.
that's right. And our people are good people. They're salt of the earth people. These are folks that we live with, we live amongst. And when you see that they're hurting, when you see that they're struggling, that they need a hand up, it hurts. And it's funny because I was at a meeting last night and somebody said, you texted my friend or messaged my friend at 1:30 in the morning, right? Because that's who I am. I want to help, and it hurts me dearly when I see something on social media that says, oh, Bobbi Ann doesn't care, she didn't get back to me. Oh my goodness, I will lay in bed until 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning answering private messages. Nobody private messages their doctor, nobody private messages their lawyer, but my goodness, we can private message Bobbi Ann Brady because we know she will get back to us. And it comes down to, and I'm not, don't think I'm complaining. It's beautiful because people trust me and people know that I'm going to respond to them. And that is my job as their representative. That is my job. And when I say that other people's problems weigh heavy on me, I'm being very, very honest because I want to help all of the good people of Halton, Norfolk. I really do. I mean, there's some people who don't want the help. There's some people who think that I will never, ever be able to help them. And in my experience, in my 25 years experience, I'll tell you something. It's always the people that you do the least for that are the most appreciative. There's sometimes those people that you bend over
Yeah, well,
absolutely
mhm.
backwards for, and then they work against you on a campaign.
Yeah, it's life, right? It's it's
Yeah.
it's what people are.
Yeah.
As a business person, I see it a fair amount too. And you're like, I just went out of my way, and
Hmm.
but you live and learn. That's part of that lesson, isn't it?
I'm going to put in a very interesting plug here. I guess maybe it's shameless, but in this election, I can guarantee the constituents of Halton and Norfolk that they will not find a more passionate person on the ballot than Bobbi Ann Brady.
All right, that which leads me to my next question. We've had conversations about your hobbies and what you like to do and your background growing up. What drives you? What the hell is it that drives you so hard to get to is was there a point in your life where something happened that you just went, I have to do this? Like, I mean, I interview a ton of people, and there's usually something in the background that drives them forward. What is it? If you don't mind sharing.
I don't really know. I mean, I was a really quiet kid. People are always very shocked to learn that I was very shy, and I'm still very shy. I'm not the person who goes into the room and says, "Oh, hi, I'm Bobbi Ann Brady," right?
No, 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 wait, no, no, no. I've seen you play hockey. Don't even
Yeah.
try and
Oh,
hide.
that's different. Once you put a pair of skates on, that is completely different. But I think it is hockey. I think hockey taught me a lot of resilience. It taught me to, fight for my spot. If I wanted, I never expected, especially as a female hockey player playing boys hockey back in the early 80s. My parents always said to me, don't you dare expect to be treated differently. You want to play with these boys, then you're going to be treated like one of them. And I think that taught me so much because I went, you know what? I'm not just going to be given that center spot. I'm not going to be given that wing. I'm not going to get, the
You got to
45
earn it.
seconds during overtime
Yeah.
if I don't deserve it. And I think that really set me up, and I think that sets kids up to be successful when they're part of something like that they're striving, each and every time they pick up an instrument or they dance or they play hockey or whatever it is. I think it sets you up for, strong mind and that resilience. And so I think hockey. And then one of the other changes that you may have been picking up on, because I have changed as a person. I'm going to credit, and I've done this before. I'm going to credit martial arts. I started as a kickboxer, and that was great. That was so good for my mind and my body and everything else. But when I started karate, when I started working towards my black belt, which I got this past summer, I earned my black belt, and I have a year to keep it, by the way. So when I earned that black belt, that was really something, because martial arts has taught me to stop, like pause, reflect, and not be so reactionary. And throughout my entire life, I've been very reactionary. When you're on the ice, you're reactionary,
Right.
right? And so martial arts has really taught me that I have to stop and I have to think before I act. And we are trained to react quickly if we're in a bad situation, but in most cases, bad situations can be diffused by, before you have to resort to any sort of violence.
It's almost like mindful centeredness, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that brings me to the other point that I had written down a note on was, I feel like you know who you are now. I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you've come to terms with, and you're like, yeah, this is who I am. Deal with it.
Yeah. I don't have to be. I'm on your podcast this morning with no makeup on. It's not because I got up late. It's
It's
just
good I
because,
got
you know
mine
what?
on, eh?
Pardon?
It's good I wore
You
mine.
you've got
Somebody's got
yours
to look.
on. I hope you
Yes.
put enough on for both of us. But like, I am who I am, and I think that some friends who say to me, "Do you ever brush your hair?" Yes, I do brush my hair, but I've got messy hair. I'm like that kid who should never have long hair when they're little, right? But that's just who I am. I'm just Bobby Ann, who kind of goes through life with like everyone else. There's nothing fancy about me. There's there I'm just your next door neighbor. I'm your friend. I think the best introduction that I've had since election day in 2022, I think it was Brad Nunn at the Norfolk County Fair when I opened the fair in 2022. And he introduced me and he said, and Bobbi, MPP Bobbi Ann Brady, she's just one of us. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what I want to be. I had a lady last night at a meeting who, was a hugger, and she came over and she hugged me, and and she goes, "Oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that." And I said, "Why not?" And she's like, "Well, you just can't hug people like you." And I'm like, "What?" I said, "People like me." I said, "Like, what does that even mean?" And of course, I need more hugs, I think, than
It's
a
funny.
lot of people.
I got to admit, that's pretty funny that you said that, because I actually talked to a client who you met with a while back, and he was raving about you. And he said, "You know what's really nice?" And I said, "What?" She goes, "She gave me a hug." And it
Mm,
was like he needed the hug. And I
I
was
hug
like, yeah,
everyone.
that sounds like Bobby. I'm like, are
Yeah.
you sure she wasn't cross checking you? Are you just
No.
scared that she was?
No. And I'm going to throw out a special thanks to my friend Diane Hopper, who worked for Toby for a few years when I first started working for Toby. And when I hugged, it was like, kind of cold and hard and everything else. And she's like, "You're not a hugger." And I said, No. I said, growing up, we would all get in bed at night, and it was like the Waltons. We'd all yell from our bed, "I love you." And everybody said that, but nobody ever hugged. So
Yeah.
Diane said to me, she says, "Before I leave here or before you get another job," she says, "I'm going to turn you
Did you?
into a hugger."
Oh my
Mission
goodness.
accomplished, Diane Hopper. I am a hugger, and I said to the lady last night, I said, "The next time you see me, I'm expecting a hug right away." So, but there, I see other representatives out there, and that's not happening.
Well, and it's everybody has their choice, and I agree with you.
Mhm.
A lot of folks, like a lot of us that grew up in the 70s and 80s in Haldeman, Norfolk, there was no hugging. It was
Mm-mm.
you were free range too. You have
The
to
sign
admit
of
we got away
weakness.
with everything. But
Yep.
anyway, I do have a couple bones to pick.
Okay.
You on one of your pieces this past month, you went on a little bit of a Reagan rant, and I'm more of a Carter guy, so I wanted
Oh,
to.
did talk about Jimmy
You
Carter
did
too.
talk about Reagan, but you did acknowledge Jimmy Carter and what he's
Yeah.
done and
Yeah.
the amazing. One of the things I want to just throw at you, because in a lot of ways, again, you're a little bit of a Jimmy Carter, because even after he was done being president, he did so much good. Like
Hmm.
he continued that role, which I thought was just incredible, up till
Absolutely.
in his late 90s. Like he was still changing lives at that late stage in the game. But I just thought that was kind of cool that and I again, I respect Reagan. I have no problem with that. But I was definitely a Carter guy. But I I,
Yeah.
I want you to share that quote, because I did like the quote that you used for Reagan at that time, if you remember it.
Yeah. So we the people.
Yep.
Yeah, we the people, and I use it in an ad yesterday for radio. We the people. Basically, it's saying that you have to put the taxpayer behind the wheel. The taxpayer is the one who should be in control. They drive the car, and by driving the car, they're steering. They're deciding how fast the car goes, where it goes. All of these things, and Reagan, Carter. That's when democracy was democracy, and they are
Well,
warned that
yeah,
the one piece that Jimmy Carter had penned, I think in
yeah.
2021, was all about how he
Saving
was
democracy.
seeing right, how he was seeing democracy being eroded. These guys who fought so hard to include people and to include the grassroots are ringing the alarm bells, saying this is not how it should work. And in case in point, when my brochure hits mailboxes and doors in this campaign, it's a grassroots brochure. It's not, hey, the
Yeah.
party printed the same brochure for every candidate across this province and handed it to you last Saturday at a big convention in a box all tidy for you. No, my brochure is all about Haldeman Norfolk, what we need to do better, missed opportunities by this government. It's all very personalized. The personalization, the first thing that I learned when I started working in politics 25 years ago, see, you got me all passionate and I'm using my hand. 25 years ago, is that all politics is local. And I think the PC party and parties in general have lost sight of the fact that politics is all local. You want to know what's going on? You go to the local coffee shop, you go to the arena, you go to these places. There's not people downtown Toronto who know better for Haldeman Norfolk than the people of Haldeman Norfolk. And that's how party politics is being operated right now.
Yeah, you have to look at your surroundings. I mean, the diversity in each community in the province is incredible, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize it nearly enough, because
No.
you play to that. Each one has a strength and a weakness, and some are common weaknesses. You and I have seen that both. But at the same time, you need to be relevant within your community and understand who those people are and how you
Mm-hmm.
can help them. And I
That's
think
right.
that's been forgotten a long time ago too. I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. And to your point about Reagan and Carter, that was after Watergate.
Mm-hmm.
Ford came in, then Carter, then Reagan. But the whole point of it was Watergate happened.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was held responsible.
That's right.
And maybe that's where we need to get back to, is holding that
Holding people.
accountability all across
Right.
the issues. That was democracy, and that's the way
And
it worked.
and where's the accountability right now? We are in full swing snap election mode here in Ontario for zero reason. Zero. This guy has a clear mandate until June 2026. Now he's spending $150 million of our hard earned tax dollars in order to salvage the party for another few years. And I honestly believe, deep in my body, I believe that the reason he's done this is because the criminal RCMP investigation into the Greenbelt scandal is imminent. And once that happens, and perhaps they think that he's not going to fare so well, once that happens, it could decimate the PC party. So they've got to salvage what they can for the next few years so that once that is revealed, they have time to rebuild and repair for the next election. I would bet my last dollar on it, Dave.
I was trying to avoid politics, but now you got me fired up. So here's 2 points that I read about. He's doing this because he needs the mandate from the people to battle Trump on tariffs. The other point being that you never have a PC
Right.
the reigning party isn't federal and provincial. It's usually split.
Right.
One's a liberal, one's a
It
conservative.
works better for the taxpayers.
That's the line that
Yep.
the news medias are feeding right now. So on that point, I'm like, well, wait, that doesn't make any sense to me either. Like
Nope.
I mean, maybe we need to look at every 4 years. It's just the way it is. I don't know, especially if you have a majority. Why $150 million? How many educators, how many doctors is that in Halden, Norfolk?
Oh, many.
Like, yeah.
Many. And like, it just blows my mind because he has a clear mandate. He has a clear mandate until next June. We could be done all of this business with Donald Trump before next.
Yeah. Lost your volume there. And she's back. All right. We lost your volume for a minute, so repeat that.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the fact that he has a clear mandate until June 2026, we could be through all of this, stuff with Donald Trump by then. So that doesn't fly, and anyone who's buying that is severely misguided. Again, though, that's the demise of democracy because he is breaking legislation. He's breaking the law by calling an early election. There are fixed election dates here in Ontario. So he's breaking fixed election date legislation. I brought forward a motion. How long ago was that? A few months ago, just before Christmas, I think. I brought forward a motion that actually said that any government that breaks fixed election date legislation by more than 3 months, I think it was, should be fined $2 or $3 million. Because I knew he was doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's crazy, isn't it? All right, and see, you got off your whole session about you. You went on this rant about, which is great. I don't mind, but
I'm going to walk you over.
Can I ask you why the hell do you even care anymore?
Pardon?
Why the hell do you even care anymore? Like what? Like you said, this whole thing, so many people are now all over Norfolk, all over the world, all over North America are getting so pissed about just politicians. Mm-hmm. What keeps you driving forward? I don't get it.
I'll tell you what keeps me driving forward. I had a huge moment of epiphany the other night because it was day one of the campaign, and a mom and two girls came in. I am certain that the oldest one was the oldest daughter, and then the youngest was maybe 3 or 4. Beautiful little girl named Rosie, and bright eyes, big smile, sparkling personality. She said to me, "Oh." She says, "You have almost the same coat as mine." Well, mine wasn't nearly as pretty as this little coat, but it was the same color. And I was laying in bed that night, and I was thinking that, why? Because my kids ask me quite often, "Mom, you work your ass off. And why do you do this?" And I said, "I do it for you guys. I do it for you guys, and I do it for the little Rosies of the world, because that little girl who was so bright and so full of life, is naive to the fact that Ontario is no longer the land of opportunity. That little girl deserves to grow up to have the best healthcare, the best access to world-class education, and my goodness, she deserves hope and she deserves opportunity." And right now, when I speak to young kids, especially 16 to 19, they're hopeless. They don't have much hope. They're being told you'll never move out of your parents' basement. You'll never own a home. We've got to change that. That is not what you and I grew up with. We grew up with the idea that, hey, you know what? We're going to work hard. That was what we were told. If you work hard, you will be okay. Nowadays, Dave, there is no guarantee that if you work hard, you're going to be okay. And that crushes me, because I look at my young people here, I look at little Rosie, and I think, my goodness, I want them to feel the exact same way I did growing up, where I was, excited. I looked forward to things.
You open another Pandora's box. Why do you do this? You've got to go to work, and now I've got questions because I agree with you 100%. But I think there's a different mindset with these next generations coming, and I don't think I read an article last week, and it said under the age of 50, Trump didn't win any of those people all across the board. He didn't win any of them.
Wow.
So I'm looking at, when I talk to my son and my daughter, and the same way you do with your kids, there's a different mindset. And I
Hmm.
think it might be better than what we perceive the future to
Oh,
be. I think they're looking at us going, oh my God, I can't believe they're going to do that again. Right. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
And the things are changing dramatically.
We run on we're on the brink of stroke, we're on the brink of heart attack, trying to pay bills, trying to get
Yeah.
ahead, all of these things, and our kids are going, I'm not going to do that for what?
Right.
Mom's still
Exactly. You
struggling,
nailed it.
mom's still like, stressed out about things. Why the hell would I do this to myself? and
Exactly.
and that's why I think you see things like well, the creation of agency nurses. Now I'm not going to, I'll just say that agency nurses have destroyed our healthcare system, but you can understand young people are signing up to work at these agencies because they're going, you know what? I don't have to work shift work. I don't have to
Right.
do all this stuff. I don't have to bust my hump. I go to work 9 to 5, come home, collect my paycheck. Sure, I may not be making a gazillion dollars, but man, I'm happy because I'm stress free.
Yeah. I got to let you go. What's one more thing, and then you get to go play. Um, you got a bunch of events coming up, and I noticed February 6th you're doing something in Jarvis.
Yeah.
What's all that about?
Yeah, so oh, super excited about this one. So you guys may remember that back in July, I went to Wolfville, Nova Scotia. I went to Acadia University, and I was a guest at the university with professor and author Alex Marland. And Alex Marland writes books. So the last one was all about democracy in Canada, how party politics works here in Canada. His next book, due out this year, is called There Is No I in Team, and yours truly is has been interviewed for that book. I was interviewed last December when I was very sick on the couch and refused to turn on my video for Alex. So it was just a voice. I've done work with Alex. I almost forgot about this. Last January, I was at the Churchill Society in Toronto, and I did a panel discussion there with a bunch of former politicians, and we talked about defending democracy. So Alex is coming back. He's coming here instead of me going to Nova Scotia this time. He's coming here. We had this planned well before the election calls, but it's uncanny timing because it'll be kind of a campaign kickoff for us. So he's coming to Jarvis, and we're doing a fireside chat on defending democracy in Canada. And it's heartening to know that people like Alex are working on this. The session that I attended this summer, all former politicians who see the merit in, all of us getting together once in a while. And, when you see former politicians who are saying things are starting to slide, I think we best be paying attention. So it's going to be an interesting chat on February 6th. And I am so excited because this is what I'm doing. I'm standing up for democracy every single day. I'm seeing it chipped away little by little. I see it at the school board level where trustees no longer have a voice. I see it around municipal council tables where hey, we're not going to talk about this today. Councillors have told me. I'm told I can't talk about this, or this. Well, why not? Like, this is what my constituents want me to talk about. Oh no, we're not talking about that today. It's all silencing. It's all being controlled by the upper levels, and that's not how democracy is supposed to work. If it's going to be a top-down decision-making process, then why do we even have that middle ground, right? Why do we have trustees? Why do we have counselors? So these are all some of the things that we're going to talk about, and as you can tell, I'm very, very excited.
And Alex, was looking at yours as, I think when he reached out, you told me that it was because of your independent win,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he wanted to sort of look into that even deeper.
Yep,
Now he's going to get an opportunity to see it firsthand.
that's right. And so he came across me at the Churchill Society actually when he was doing this event last January. The Churchill Society said, "Oh my goodness, you got to reach out to Bobbi Ann Brady." And Alex is like, he's like, "Who's Bobbi Ann Brady?" And so they said, "Google her." And he was immediately hooked. And uh, he always gives me the most amazing introduction. I can't wait to hear the introduction on February 6th. But big fan of what we did here in Haldimand, Norfolk in 2022. And I will say that the party brass, PC party brass, have said, you will not do it again, Haldeman Norfolk. You think you were smart standing up for democracy once, you will never do it twice. That is what they have told me. Doug Ford sent back a message with one of our farmers from the Royal Winter Fair. Met him in the bathroom, this farmer. And the premier says, where are you from? And this farmer says, well, I don't think you're going to like where I'm from. And without skipping a beat, Doug Ford says, oh, you're from her riding. Farmer says, we like her. And the premier says, I'm sending back a message to Bobbi Ann Brady. We're going to destroy her. If we can stand up for democracy 2 elections in a row, my goodness, we are going to start something very, very special. We already have, but we're going to put the exclamation mark on defending democracy.
Well, he did that in the House to you too. He made that declaration in front of all those other ones, and I think that, to me, that was kind of one of those TSN turning points where you're like, yeah, don't talk to our people like that. You know what I mean? As you know, from folks from Haldeman Norfolk looked at that and went, wait, she's one of us. You don't talk like that, right?
And he did.
So I think it's kind of that lesson that your grandparents told you, right?
That's right.
Like,
and he
respect.
didn't learn because he's done it again. Yeah. He came in here once again, didn't run a nomination night. Like, you would think that after, things happened once, that you would kind of change course, but.
Are we going to, do you got a website now for the people can go to? Like, I know things change with the election. Can you give that?
So votebobbiandbrady.com.
Same as last time.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's super. Yeah. That's wonderful.
And one of the important, we've run out of signs. We went through 2,000 signs in a day and a half. And so now we're waiting for the second batch. So please be patient, folks. We've got hundreds of pages of requests. But one of the things that I would really love, if you're going to support me on election day or at the advanced polls, whatever, there is a button on my website that says show my support. And if you could go click that button, that would be amazing.
And for those that don't know, when exactly is the election?
February 27th.
Wow, that's 4 weeks.
Advanced polls, February 20th to 22nd. I don't know where they are yet. They had not confirmed that yesterday when I was at the returning office. But I will tell you that you can vote any day at the old Simcoe Town Center on West Street. You can vote any day at the returning office. I think it's 10 till 6. And all you need to be able to do is write down whoever you're voting for's name. So if you're voting for Bobbi Ann Brady, you just write Bobbi Ann Brady on the line.
And that's kind of critical because doing an election in the winter, you never know with weather. And the older folks, it's hard to get out and get around.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
and we have a lot of snowbirds. So the snowbirds are contacting me at all hours of the day. And they are very upset. They're like, we're not going to be home. In that case, you can go on Elections Ontario website and there is a mail-in option. So you can apply to have your ballot mailed to you and then you can mail it back. And I suggest snowbirds listening out there, do that as soon as possible. Don't wait until the last minute.
I know you're really busy, but if you get a chance in a couple of weeks, we should chat again. It's just fun to catch up and see where you are on all this.
I love these.
Oh, well, you've been doing them for 2 years. You're kind of getting used to it, eh?
Yep. First time without makeup.
Well, next time, I'll, like we said, that's the good part about me and you. We just have a conversation. It's not.
I love it.
Our little session's over today, but it was fun to catch up again and see you. And take care, man. Good luck.
Thanks. Thank you, Dave. Have a good one.